check if it's live. All right, I think we are live now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. So thank you for joining. I think it's Labor Day for most of people. So happy holiday and thank you for joining us on the holiday. And let's give maybe 1 minute, then we will start. And maybe you can also put where are you joining from in the chat. So just let us know where are you from. Okay. So today's topic is about how AI could impact our career. And we are very happy to have Terence. He will share with us his insight. And because we are all aware that um, artificial intelligence (AI) has already had a significant impact on many aspects of our life, and of course, most important is our career. So I will hand it over to Terence, and he will share with us like all the insight and experience he has. And of course, you can ask a question in our chat. You don't need to wait until the end of the presentation. You can just put your question in the chat during the presentation. And of course, we will answer your question in the end of the presentation. And Terence, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. Before I start, I just want to say thank you very much for joining this session. I may not be looking at the chat screen every now and then. So, Peggy, I might need your help if there are questions from the floor. Just feel
Sure.
free to stop me and ask questions. During the presentations, I may be asking a few questions, probably just very simple questions, yes or no, maybe some quick 1 or 2 word answers. So I do encourage you to participate and try to answer, and that will make it more interactive, and then we can get the most out of these presentations. Okay. I may not be getting the right presentation. This presentation is actually from previous presentations back in March, but we'll just probably play that. Okay. So okay, maybe Peggy, if you don't mind, I'll just probably I'll get a new presentation.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that. I've just uploaded the slide, so do let me know if you have received it. Yeah, can you see that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining this presentations. My name is Terence. I am an advisor for Talent Labs, working along with the other Terence, the founder. It's my privilege to share with you the opportunities ahead on any AI-related career. And in this presentation, we will discuss a little bit about the applications of AI. What are the opportunities around the AI-related careers? What are the characteristics and strengths and skill sets required for some of these roles? and then we'll open up the floor for any questions. But again, if you have some burning questions that you would like me to address, feel free to stop me, and then we'll see how we can take it up from there. And then Peggy, you will be my moderator if I keep going and I may not be aware of the questions. Okay. All right, let's start. So first of all, what is artificial intelligence? Maybe the very simple questions about it. And anyone has any thoughts on what is artificial intelligence? Well, there's a book answers, but of course there are a lot of creative answers. You probably hear AI from all parts of different applications, and then you may see it from movies or dramas and so on. Anyone? All right, maybe the book answer for AI is basically smart machines. They are machines, they are computers. They are capable of performing tasks or making decisions that typically require human intelligence. So in short, they are probably some logics or some sort of mechanisms that the machines can help the human to make decisions or do or perform certain tasks. That is simple definitions of artificial intelligence. I would say at this point, some people think it is rocket science because they can do a very complex decision making. But at the end of the day, it's still a computer program. There are a lot of applications around artificial intelligence. They are used across various industries, and I will probably highlight a couple that are quite prominent. So from the healthcare industries, typically we do require a lot of healthcare professionals to meet the patients, to ask the questions on what are the signs and symptoms, and you might listen to your heartbeat and your breathing and then stuff like that. But nowadays you have the virtual doctors that will actually, they have a lot of data on patients, medical data. They'll ask you the right questions, you answer the right questions, and then they'll have logic to ask further drilling down questions to give you that diagnosis. And also for medical imaging, when you do ultrasound or X-rays or even MRIs, you see like images that are quite difficult to interpret. With the advanced image processing and the computer visions, then the AI is able to interpret all these different patterns of the images and see if you have cancers or you have some medical condition that require treatment on that. And then thirdly, if you see a doctors, they typically will prescribe you, some medicines to treat your medical conditions. But medicines, they may interact with each other. They may counteract with each others. And that's why when you see a doctors, they typically ask you, do you have any known allergies or do you have any known drug interactions? And they will need to make decisions and possibly to give you alternatives, alternate medicines to treat your medical condition to get around with all these interactions between medicines. So this personalized medicine through the AI will help prescribe the right medicine to treat your conditions. So that's on healthcare. On the finance side, I'm sure a lot of some of you may apply for credit cards, or some of you may apply for a line of credits. In the past, you probably have to fill in a form and then put in all your employment information and what kind of liabilities and so on. And then they have a loan approvals department to look at all these credit reports, look at all your debt and all these things, and then they will see whether you are, you have the ability to repay the loan, the installments. But with the AI application nowadays, they can just retrieve your credit history report, and then they have all these models to determine your likelihood of default in a loan. Because in a financial institution, the last thing they want to see is they cannot get their repay back. Defaulting on certain loans, that's really bad to financial institutions. So they're doing everything they can to avoid it. But on the other hand, they can't be too conservative on approving loans. Otherwise, they're not making any business. They're not earning interest out of the loans that they're giving out. Therefore, they do take a risk-based approach using AI to approve loan on the right amount, the right interest rate to get the maximum yield from the money they lend out. Then on finance, those of you, if you have credit cards, you probably may get text messages or even phone calls from the risk departments from your bank, saying that you may your credit card may be on hold because there might be some fraud. It's simple, something like if you're spending at the restaurants in Hong Kong, and then 2 minutes later you are spending in Taiwan, and then now 2 minutes you're spending in Italy. Clearly, there's something wrong with it with the same credit card, because no way that you can travel within 2-3 minutes, and that's where AI will trigger that, and then will temporarily block your card to make sure that they know where you are, and then make sure the transactions are legitimate before they do that. Trading and investment, that has been applied for a long time ago, because people do the investment bank, they do want to trade the stocks based on certain patterns that they call it technical analysis, and they would put their money in there and then enter and exit in a very short period of time. That's something human typically cannot do, because our fingers cannot click so quickly, versus a computers, they can do it in a fraction of a second, or even in milliseconds. They can buy something and trade something, buy and sell within maybe a couple of milliseconds, and they earn money from that. Cybersecurity is similar to fraud detections, that they would detect if there are some possible intruders or issues with the network, and then they can take the actions appropriately. From a transportation side, AI, they do. You probably, a lot of you heard of Elon Musk, like the father of Tesla. And Elon is a big fan of like auto driving, and Tesla do have models to do auto driving and auto steering, and they use computer vision to see whether there are the road conditions are okay, and then they will see the road signs and whatnot. Then they can do the auto driving, and that's quite fascinating in that sense. On the route planning and advice, you see Google Map and you see Baidu Map in China. They do AI to see, if there's any road constructions. There are multiple routes to get to your destinations, and then they will find algorithms and to pick the correct, make the most appropriate, the most efficient, effective route from point A to point B, and that's all about the route planning. And then in the airport, they do have a lot of vehicles to see if that vehicle has a risk of breaking down, and then they can the AI can tell you whether the vehicles is due for maintenance. You need to do something that will save a lot of money and will increase the efficiencies of transporting goods and things. And lastly, on the entertainment side, I'm sure a lot of you are using like Spotify or even YouTube. You have been viewing, all these videos or listening to certain kinds of music, and then back in the AI, they do the machine learning. They will see what kind of music, what kind of genres, and maybe albums or even artists that are suiting your preference. Then next time when you log on to Spotify or even YouTube, they will pop up the top picks for you. And that's all about the AI, all about machine learning. It's about finding your preference. And so you don't need to do the search on what kind of music. They say maybe on a lazy Sunday afternoon, they will give you some, relaxed musics or lounge musics that make you feel relaxed on a Sunday afternoon. That's about the content curation and creation. And then for AI, those of you in the past, you like to play Pokemons, and that's all about the augmented realities. That's all these AI will learn where the places you see all these little things that you can catch, and then you can score from it. So it's about the entertainment and the gaming on the application of AI. So you probably heard a lot about the AI. I've cited so many examples of AI, and then a lot of these are actually intended to replace things that typically a human would do. So my next kind of thoughts or questions would be, does AI actually create more jobs for us, or actually it replaces job? It actually adds risk to our current job. So a lot of people would think that AI is actually there to replace my role, that my job is at risk. But interestingly, AI actually creates more jobs than replacing existing jobs. You will see by 2025, according to a web forum, AI actually create 97 million new jobs, but it does replace 85 million jobs, but it does have a net gain of about 12 million jobs. Why is it the case? So the takeaway of this observation is that AI actually, the AI era actually makes people, instead of replacing the existing job, but that means you need to upskill yourself and try to make yourself more AI ready. Because AI do require a lot of people behind to train up the models and maintain the AI algorithm and systems and so on, which I will go through in a moment. So that means you do need to make yourself future ready in order to embrace the AI technologies. Right. So here are the examples of jobs replaced by AI or even created by AI. So some of the jobs replaced by AI are mostly very cyclical. They are repetitive, and things are quite straightforward, I would say. So examples like data entry clerk. Remember at the beginning of the presentation, I did say, you fill in loan applications, and then that's probably a paper form you submit to the bank, and then the bank has a clerk to type your information into the systems and then get the loan approval. And that's what we call the data entry clerk. Those are the jobs typically will be replaced by AI, because nowadays you have the OCR, you have all these things you to put into the scanner, or even using your mobile phone, you take a picture of it and then they can recognize the text out of it and fill up the form for you. Secondly, is with the customer service. I'm sure a lot of you have probably called in a hotline and try to ask for some service, and then there's someone from customer service like, thank you for calling ABC company. My name is Terrence. How can I help you? And then you listen, and then they do the things for you. That's one of the jobs that's being replaced by AI, because many companies, they are adopting generative AI, Gen AI, or what we call the ChatGPT, that they can interpret what you want to do, and then they can identify your intent, and then just do the route you to the right place and perform that transactions for you. So the advantage of this Gen AI is it's 24/7. It's not constrained by capacity that I have like 20 customer service rep. I don't need to maintain the office and all these things. So that's where the trend of many organizations, they will start to automate or take up all these like we call it level 1 customer service inquiries, and then for more complex one, they can route to an actual person to take care of that. The third part is on the factory and warehouse workers, whereby they have all these robots to carry out all these pallets of goods and packages and so on. Because think about that. If you have an actual human being to carry the goods from one place to another, it's quite risky, because people may get injured. They may be calling sick, and there may be traffic accident and so on. Whereby an AI and robot can actually handle that. They have a load capacity. They can do it without any human interventions, and it's a lot more precise. Because we are human, to err is human. You heard of that typical idioms. That's because human errors is prone to happen, but in robots, the error rate will certainly be lower if you program the algorithms correctly. And that's the same thing as the drivers, cashiers, and so on. So those are the typical roles that the ChatGPT or even a robot can handle. But the last bit is on the research analyst, and that is another typical applications that the ChatGPT or generative AI can handle, because ChatGPT is basically backed by, say, a whole universe of knowledge, like Wikipedia. They can interpret your results, interpret your inquiries, and then they can do a very quick search on related materials, and then they will find a correlation with each other and see how likely this is meeting what you're expecting, and then they can curate the contents and present it to you. For those of you who, if you have tried ChatGPT, you'll be amazed that, say, I want to find a research on certain things. Of course, the research, the ChatGPT, it's quite expensive to train. So you may not have all this real-time, up-to-date information. But at least if you want to research something, let's say histories, it's a perfect use case on that. And you probably don't need a team of 10 or 20 research analysts to help you look up the information. So that is a trend of things that it can be replaced by AI. But having said that, I mentioned that AI do require a lot of things. So you do require a lot of people to get the data required to train it. They need the people to train the algorithms, and then they need the people to see what are the use cases for the AI. Therefore, AI do have a number of roles, a number of new roles created in this technologies. But there are different names of it, but I will summarize it into 3 types of roles that are created from the AI technologies. The first one, a lot of you probably have heard the role of data scientist or machine learning specialist or machine programmers. So those are the roles that are doing all these, creating the complex data models and get the outputs. The second part is, once you have that programmer, you need to have the people to source the information or curate the information required for the machine to learn. And that's what we call data engineers. The third types of roles would be more on identifying the use cases and what are things we prioritize, and to roll out and launch an AI product. And that's how we call it, the AI product owners. So if you go to LinkedIn or a job search site, you see a number of titles, all kinds of titles and roles about the AI, but they can be generalized into one of those 3 types of roles related to AI. But of course, there are like other infrastructure related roles which I did not highlight here. You have possibly the security owner, you have the infrastructure person, and so on. I did not highlight there because those are all in the infrastructure side, that is probably shared among other technology roles as well. So I'll go through each of these roles in the subsequent slides. So for the data scientist or the machine learning specialist, like I said, those are the brains behind the AI solutions. They program, create the applications that take in certain input, and then using that algorithm, they will have the output to give you prescribed, or we call it prescriptive analytics, to tell you what are the solutions, what are the things that you can do, or even they can perform the task as you request. Those are the role of a data scientist. What they do typically, they do perform something called exploratory data analysis. Data scientists, you might look very glamorous at the surface. So I create all these wonderful algorithms that gives these, great outputs. But the process of making that is not as straightforward, because you see the term data scientist. They are scientists. Scientists meaning they possibly do a lot of trial and errors. They can spend probably 30 or 40 hours trying to look at different patterns of data and trying to try things and see whether the output is correct. They need to find the right models and right package or right models to generate the right results. So that takes a lot of time. Or maybe they can even look at the data qualities and then, oh yeah, because the data input is not right, the data quality is pretty bad. They need to do data cleansing and fix up their data in order for that to be in a usable state. So those are the roles of a data scientist. So it's a lot of work behind it to create or churn out results. And I will show you what are the typical personalities that will be fitting for data scientists, and they will enjoy being a data scientist, in other words. Next role of the data engineers, like said, those are the people who are the data people. They build the AI infrastructures. AI do requires a lot of data behind it in order for them to validate and confirm that they, given this input, it will get the right outputs. And data engineers' role is they will source out all these types of data called features. So each of the data column is called a features. They will find out the features behind the AI models, and then the things that the outputs that they're predicting is called the target variable. So the data engineers are working hand in hand with the data scientists to identify the target variables and the features behind the AI models and source out the information for them. So if you imagine I always like to use a restaurant as an analogy, is that the chef would be the data scientist to cook up that dish, but behind that, you need those people to buy the ingredients in order for the chef to cook. And data engineers are there to buy the ingredients, the food, the vegetables, and so on. And then they will prepare that vegetables for the chef to cook. So those are data engineers. They're there to identify and acquire data from sources like that, and then they organize a structure, the large one of data, because we are all looking at millions, tens of millions rows of records. They do want to find the right place, the right spot, and also to check out data qualities. And they work very closely with data scientists to make sure that data quality is good enough. So one other thoughts about that is you will never have a perfect data quality on things in the real world environment. So they do need to work through, they can't spend hours and months to do all this data cleansing. So they will make sure the data quality is good enough for them to generate a good results on the model. So that's the role of a data engineer. So I discussed about the data scientists and the data engineers. They're all very machine facing. So they look at data, they look at the algorithms, they look at codes, and so on. And the third role is called the product owner. So the AI product owners are very different from the other two. They are people facing. So if you do like to talk to people, the AI product owners are for you. The AI product owner, because the data engineers or data scientists, they do tend to talk things very technically. And then if you talk all these technical terms to the sponsors, to the bosses, or even to the stakeholders, they probably won't understand. So the role of product owners is to translate all these technical jargons and technical terms into something that makes business sense. So they are the conduit between the technical folks and the business folks. The AI product owners are also there to identify and prioritize business problems. So AI product owners will know what are the needs from the business, and then they will convert all these business needs into what kind of features will help address the business needs. So they are very good at understanding when business side. I see a question: what's the difference between data scientists and data analysts? Good questions. Data analysts, I would park them as like a data engineer. So it is kind of in between the two. But I would say the data analyst is more of the sourcing data, processing data, and possibly presenting data, because this term is very widely used for all kind of contexts. From the AI context, data analyst is more of the data engineer side to find the right data to feed into the algorithm. But from the analytics side, or we call it this descriptive analytics, or even business intelligence, the role of a data analyst is to find out the data, process the data, create a presentation, and provide the insights to your users. Okay, I hope I answer your questions. So back to the AI product owner. So they are prioritizing the business problems because you can't boil the ocean. You cannot have one AI solutions that solves the world's hunger. So that's not realistic, right? That's not practical. So you can take things iteratively, because the requirements do change from time to time, and the product owners are here to see what are the things that can give the biggest impact to the business, and then they will give the right orders and the specifications for the data engineers as well as the data scientists to produce the product and the solutions that will actually make the biggest impact. So they are there to kind of do in between the business and the technical, and they will evaluate the AI solutions to make sure that AI solution is meeting the business needs. You imagine that you have a new car that you build up. How do you know that the car is actually meeting the user's needs? So you need someone to validate it to see if, yeah, that is actually usable and we can use it. But the last stage is the toughest part, is to sell the solution to the business. Typically, you have a new product or solutions that you push us out. People are maybe skeptical, and they're not sure whether it really meets their needs. And especially if you're talking this solution is to replace certain people's role, people tend to have resistance. So the role of a product owner is they have a little bit of change management required to actually sell the solutions. It's like, yeah, this one actually helps you answer the call a lot faster. It can help you to reduce the queuing in the bank and so on and so forth, like all these value propositions that the AI product owners will need to identify and then to encourage a business to use. For any AI solutions or any analytic solutions, one of the key metrics to measure success is the adoption rate, meaning how many people are actually using that solutions. And secondly is how many of these people using solutions thinks that it brings them values. So that's always a $1 million questions for the AI product owners. It determines whether that solutions or the role or the solution is successful, is to measure adoption. Imagine that you spend maybe tens of thousands or even millions of dollars to produce an AI solutions, and then no one is using that. And that means you are wasting your investment. You're putting that in the drain. So it is very, very important for the AI product owners at the very last mile to sell the solution to ensure that it meets the business needs. So if they see the solution is not really meeting business need, it is the role of the AI product owners to take the feedback to see what they can enhance. And again, go back to the kitchen and talk to the AI, the data scientists and the data engineers that can you enhance the solution to meet these needs. So that's the role of the product owners. So they do tie hand in hand, because AI product owner needs to have certain level of machine learning data scientist knowledge to do the job. Absolutely. I will go through that in a moment. That the role of a AI product owner is actually, you don't need to be very deep in the technical sense, but you need to know the concepts of all these technical terms. Okay, so I would say in the whole world of AI era, there are 3 types of skills required. So the business skills, like knowing the business context, knowing what are the business priorities, knowing how the business works, and so on. Obviously, you have the technical skills. You need to have the Python skills. You need to know what library is doing what and what parameters needed for the library, the syntax behind Python, and so on and so forth, right? The third bit will be on analytic skills to analyze problems, to see what are the metrics that will help measure certain results, or even break down the technical, take up the business problems into the technical problems or technical specifications, to break down the problems into smaller chunks. Those are what we call analytical skills. Pardon because of the presentation, I think it's the text overrun a little bit. So business skills, technical skills, and analytic skills. And you put the Venn diagrams together, and you will see different roles. They have different places they need to be particularly strong at. Okay, you see the data scientists or the machine learning specialists. They will need to be strong at analytic skills, break down the problems, and the technical skills. Obviously on the Python part or even the programming part. For the data engineers, they need to know what are the features required, what are the data will support those answering those business problems, or the data that will help train up the AI models. So those are the business skills. They need to be very clear on the whole business process. And then the technical skills, of course, need to know all these SQL statements and know the data infrastructures behind it. And lastly, for the AI product owners, to your questions, Chan, they need to be strong in both the business skills. They need to know the business, what are the business needs, and to break down these skills into the technical problems. So they do need to have machine learning skills. They may not know what libraries will help answer these questions, but they need to know what are the AI solutions that can help address the problems. Like, are you looking into predictive models to predict how likely the person will default on the loan? Or are you looking into what are the target problems that they try to solve, and then what kind of mechanism require an AI? So those are things that they need to know. But the actual implementation side, they will leave it with the data engineers and the machine learning specialists. So for machine learning specialists, what are skills will be required by a machine learning specialist role? Obviously, they need to be good at the data analysis. They need to be very good at statistical modeling. They need to know whether what's the recall rate or the precision rate and all these terms, and they need to know the statistic models as well as knowing what the machine learning algorithms are. You using random forest or using regression models and so on to generate what results. So they need to know all these things. Of course, they need to know the programming, software development, like in the Python. What are the libraries that is required to code it? And also they need to be very good at troubleshooting issues, because if you see you feed in the data in, you try out in the algorithms, the AI algorithms that you develop, and then the output is not what you want, you need to isolate the issues. It's like typical programmers that you do need to be very good at pinpointing and isolating issue. Is it the data issue? Is it a syntax issue? Is it library issues or something in your tune and so on? So those are the troubleshooting skills required. What personalities that will be helpful for machine learning specialists be successful? Number one, like I said, scientists. They are data scientists. They are scientists. They do a lot of trial and errors. They need to be very resilient. Don't give up so easily. You need to keep trying. Oh yeah, this route doesn't work. Should I try another route? They need to be able to step back to think through. Be very clear. Don't get yourself drew down to get stuck on a particular issues or failures. Learn how to step back to see, oh yeah, the big picture, this work, this doesn't work, and then maybe step back and go another route and try again, and maybe get the desired result. Machine learning specialists, they don't work alone. They need to be collaborative. They work very closely with data engineers, and they work very closely with the AI product owners to see what are the needs and try to adjust the features to meet the end user's needs. They need to be curious learners and inquisitive in natures, and they will need to see what are a lot of whys behind things. They typically see, oh yeah, I see this input will generate that output. Why is it the case? Or why things doesn't work to the way that I want. So they need to be very inquisitive, not like, oh, I need to do this, and hence I do this. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. That doesn't help for machine learning specialists to be successful. So they need to be inquisitive in natures, good at working with people, as well as very resilient with failures. The role of a data engineer, they work with lots of data, the whole oceans of data, I call it. They need to be very good at database management and scripting. So they need to know all these databases. Are you looking at they build something called data pipelines. The data pipeline is like I like to eat, so I always like a restaurants as an analogy. So they prepare the whole buffet table of all these foods. The restaurants for the data scientists or for them to use. So they need to know all these where things are from. So are you looking at a Spark database, you're looking at a Hadoop, or you're looking at a Oracle or whatnot? They need to be good at all these database management and of course the scripting. Because the language you use in Hadoop is probably different from the one you use in Oracle database. So they need to be good at scripting, building the data pipeline, and ETL process. ETL stands for extraction, transformation, and load. You very likely, if you have all these different kinds of database, you cannot use them as they are extracted. You probably need some data massaging to fit into the right format in order for the machine to for the machine learning. So they will prepare all these data massaging as a data engineers, and they need to keep things organized, very organized. Functional knowledge, knowing the business as well as the data management, whether things are of the right data quality. Typical personalities as a data engineers. Oh, I got a question. For machine learning specialists, does it require a certain degree from university? I would say, well, it's not like doctors. Even if you don't have a degree from a university, it will not, it will not prevent you from being a data scientist. But versus being a doctor, you need to get a license, get a certificate from a university, and get the approval from the medical board, and so on. Data scientists or machine learning specialists doesn't work that way. You can work through by self-study if you can prove yourself that you know all these, we call it the hard skills. I know that statistical models, I know all these um, library and Python. Feel free. It's like if they trust you or not. So the answer is no, but because it's quite competitive in that kind of roles, I would say a degree from university is more like an admission ticket for you to be considered for the role. Um, I mean, when we look from the reality, from a more realistic lens, for one opening for data scientist, you may get 500 applicants, for instance. I'm making up a number. I don't know what's the exact number. And then the recruiter or even the machines that help screen the CVs, they possibly will look at whether you have university degree. And then if you don't, they probably put you into the not considered category. Because if you have a degree from university, that means you have that actually is a way to prove that you have certain level of knowledge. You have a certain level of capabilities that you can handle that role. But no, it's not like required. But from the practical sense, it will increase your chance of being shortlisted as considering as a machine learning specialist. But having said that, if you are founding your own company, you are an entrepreneur to create your own AI product. You don't have to have a degree from university. You create your product yourself. You do self-learn or do whatever you need, and then you push out the product, and then people like it, then you're successful. You're still a machine learning specialist. All right, I hope I answered your questions. I'll go back to data engineers. So data engineers, they work with a lot of data, and they need to be extremely organized. Because typically for human that you have a lot of information here and there, you may get confused among different. This database is getting this set of data, the other database is getting that set of data, and maybe the kinds of data are very similar in natures. You may confuse yourself. So you cannot be confused. You need to be crystal clear on what this data give you that, this data give you that, and then if people ask you, I want to get the customer information, right? Where do I get those information? So you need to know what database and what table and to get the information you want. That's a role for data engineer. So they need to be extremely organized, extremely detail oriented, because possibly one table you have this record, and then that is you have another table you get the same record, but the content is different. Which one should you take, right? So they need to be very clear on that and know things in the down to the record level. They need to love technology as well, because even though they know the data, they need to see what kind of technology will help them keep organized. What kind of data can help, what kind of technologies can help them to build up their data quality or check up or even monitor on the data quality. So those are the roles of the data engineers, and those are the typical characteristics that will help data engineers be successful. So the third part is on the AI product owners. So like I said, they are the people-facing roles. So they need to be very good at business acumen. They need to know the business. What are the business needs? They need to be very good at stakeholder management, because stakeholders, in a practical sense, stakeholders may not, or even the user, they may not know exactly what they want. The role of a product owner is similar as a business analyst, that they will help clarify on what actually you will need and suggest this is what you need instead of what you're asking for. And then also stakeholders, some of them could be very impatient, and then need to see how you manage expectation with the stakeholders. So those are all the roles of a product owners. Selling is another skills required as a product owners. And like I said, any AI products that you developed, that you roll, your KPI is adoption rate, and whether the product brings values. AI product owners need to create values by selling their visions and ideas to people and ask for money to create that product. So in a typical enterprise organizations, you need money, you need resources, you need budgets to roll out certain products. And the role of an AI product owner is to build up that business case, to sell that visions or sell that ideas to people. And of course, things will never happen when you develop a product. It will never happen in a straight road that can get you from point to point B. There's always going to be hiccups and issues behind it. And the role of an AI product owners is to manage the risks and issues, and while managing the stakeholders. What are the characteristics of the product owners, and what kind of characters will help AI product owners be successful? AI product owners are people facing. They definitely will need to be an excellent communicator. Okay, so they need to be able to adapt the right message and talk to the right people. If they talk to business, they use some sort of language that they use, versus if they talk to machine learning specialists or data engineers, they use another terms. So back to questions from Chan. Do they need to have certain level of machine learning or data scientist knowledge? Absolutely, because if they do not have that knowledge, they will not be able to communicate with the machine learning specialists or data engineers. So they may not need to know very deep, or what they need to know what libraries in Python will help on that. That may not be required, but they need to have the breadth of knowledge and a little bit of it so that they can engage with the conversation. No one is born with all the knowledge, so AI product owners are always learning on the fly. So they need to be a great quick learner, so they can read up on themselves and then try to pick up the skills required. Would that be easier to get a product owner role than the other two roles? It depends. If you feel that you are good at communicating and learning the business and talk to the stakeholders, manage the stakeholders, I would say dealing, but collaborating with people. Do you like to work with people, or do you like to work with algorithms, or you like to work with data? So that's very personal in that sense. If you do like to work with people, AI product owner is for you, or product owner role is for you. So AI product owners, you will learn on the fly. You work with people, you own that product. You need to solve all these people-related issues rather than if you get failures in an AI product, in an AI program, you can spend time to troubleshoot. You just work with the machine. Then you control the time and all these things, versus as a product owner, you need to work with people. People are a lot more complex, that you need to find the right language to talk to people. So it depends on your own preference and strength in that sense. So so those are quick learner and also problem solver, because you have problems here and there, so both from a business side or from a technical side. So you need to be able to think through the problem, frame the problem, and see how you can, given these issues, how you can still push through. One examples from the business sense, the stakeholders, you are in the midst of developing that AI product, and then suddenly stakeholders things they want to add new features, they want to add certain new requirements, or maybe whatever they have been doing is, oh, I don't think I want that anymore, I don't want A, I want B. So the role of a product owner is to say, well, yes, you can move from A to B, but that means you delay that, and let the stakeholder know the consequences, or even to meet the stakeholders' need by working closely with data scientists, how you can change the way that you're developing things. So that's a role of the product owners, to identify the problems and then try to solve it and still push through the solutions. All right, let me see. So I think that's the end of my sharing. Anyone has any questions? I've been answering questions from the chat screen, but see if anyone has any afterthoughts or questions.
Thank you, Terence. And I can see that our audience keep asking questions during your presentation. So I guess it's very engaged, and everyone's also very curious about the role you mentioned. Let me see if there's still other question coming up.
So I think if I may summarize it, think of those three roles: data engineers, data scientists, or product owners. So think through, do you like to work with huge volume of data and keep things organized? If you're a person that likes to organize things, data engineers could be for you. If you like to build things, you like to try new things and do programming and stuff like that, data scientists or machine learning specialists could be for you. If you like to work with people, you like to help people to solve problems, possibly product owners for you. Do you suggest people who don't have a computer science engineering background to try these roles? I don't think those are helpful to build in your CV. That can build your admission ticket. And training as a computer science or engineering helps you structure problems and put things into a certain way, but it's not required by the role. I have seen people who are sticking statistics or mathematics, and they can still be a data scientist. If you are a product owner, for example, then you're more people. Maybe I see people getting a business administration, a BBA. They can be successful in being a product owner as well. But yes, I would say computer science or engineering background is a springboard to help you. It makes your path a little bit easier than you're starting from ground zero. Right?
Okay, we still have a few minutes before we close the session, so feel free to ask questions if you still have some doubts in your mind.
Is there any entry-level job before these roles? I wouldn't say there are entry levels before that, but if you, let's say you want to be a data scientist, you can certainly be a junior data scientist that you may be supervised by a more senior data scientist, and then you may be given a very specific instructions to do certain things, and then you kind of build from there. Just like when you want to be a chef, that you will not always start off with being an executive chef. You will start off with a very junior role, and then you go from there. So it depends on what are the needs of the companies or the organization and size of it. Like in a smaller organization, they may not have a luxury to hire someone very junior to train them up. But versus large organizations, they may have some more junior roles, or maybe a fresh grad program you put into the IT department, and then they train you up from there. That could be the case as well.
Yes, thank you. You have a few minutes.
But if you want to, let's say you want to get a job in this field, it would be helpful that if you take some certifications, Coursera or other programs, or maybe even tech talent labs, they may have some programs to help shape you up, and then you get some accreditations that prove that you have certain level of knowledge, and then you go from there. But you may not get very senior roles at first. You may start off with more junior roles, and then you learn learn on the fly. Experience is also quite important in that, because sometimes you get certain issues. The textbook may not tell you how to solve the issues, and then from experience, you see what way to help you save time on the troubleshooting. Some side project help. I'm not entirely sure if I get your questions, but I would say if you are able to form a team and help companies to do certain projects, definitely it helps. At the end of the day, it's about the CV. It's about what value can you bring on the tables. If you have proven yourself that you can complete a project with certain products or certain outcomes, and that brings value to your stakeholders, that is a strong point, a strong plus to your portfolio or your CV.
Actually, I would like to add on this because we actually used to have some of our students share like if you have some like side project on your CV, it actually helps because your potential employer might be really curious about how you did that.
Yeah. Actually, I want to also supplement, pick up on Peggy's point. I have seen people during interviews, let's say you've done certain projects. During interviews, you bring your laptop and show people this is the projects or product that I have built. I mean, a picture worth 1,000 words, and that product itself, it tells itself that you have done that. That is actually very helpful to engage curiosity from the interviewers that you can do certain things. And that's helpful as well.
Great. I hope we answer your question. I guess it's in the end, like if you really want to do something, you have to keep trying and find a way.
Correct. Well, talking to people in the field is also helpful. See what are the needs, and then try to shape yourself and position yourself to meet that need.
Okay, we still have like a few minutes to close the session. And maybe Terence, you can also share a bit final message, final takeaway message with our audience.
Yeah, so maybe the final takeaways for the AI. This is still a fascinating field. Things are still kind of growing. Things will never stop there. So you need to be curious learner for any roles. Be curious and try to stay on top of the trends on what's out there because things will change in seconds. Maybe next week you have a new library that comes out on the new solutions that come up that meets their needs and can get certain results. And you need to kind of stay on top of all the technologies. And once you know that, then they will help you a lot in getting the jobs. Because I also like to supplement that from my experience. If you are like a data scientist or machine learning specialist, you do like to program things, right? You want to be very hands-on, you program things, and then you write your great libraries and so on. But you may also see you might be reinventing the wheels. You might be seeing that things are already available, then you actually redoing things as things already available, and that's it's a waste of time. So you also need to know what you really need to do. Don't just get your head to build up the solution straight away. Think before you leap. That's one of my suggestions to those who want to be a data scientist.
Thank you so much, Terence. And thank you for everyone join and thank you for engaging with us and ask questions. I think, of course, the question is not just for you; it's also it can benefit others in this session. And again, and thank you for joining us in the morning. And of course, it's nearly lunchtime, so enjoy your rest of the day and happy holiday. And I will see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Peggy. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you.